People who often faced devaluation from their parents in childhood are, as adults, forced into situations where their worth, as partners, as professionals, and as human beings with equal rights, is questioned or threatened. This includes those who constantly heard reproaches from adults, endured rudeness, were always considered guilty, bad, and punished. And those who were loved, but only if they were always beautiful, smart, useful, efficient, convenient, the best of the best, and so on. In other words, they were loved conditionally. In such cases, a child never received a very important piece of knowledge that shapes not only a sense of safety, but also self-respect and healthy self-esteem. The knowledge that I am good simply because I exist. I am loved simply because I was brought into this world. As I am valuable. Of course, every adult understands that not everything in this world is for them, and that not everyone is obliged to treat them well, love, or respect them. But the knowledge of oneself as an inherently valuable person is precisely the foundation that allows one to choose partners and close ones who are capable of appreciating and loving. It helps to recognize and reject poor treatment. It prevents injustice and abuse from being tolerated. It allows one to ask for and receive help and support. Both styles of upbringing are woven with violence, whether moral, without physical force, or physical. Sometimes when I first use the word violence in therapy, I encounter surprise and resistance, both from those who were regularly beaten and from those who were raised mainly with psychological abuse. I think that in our culture, cruelty is such a common form of communication within families that many people see it as normal. And truly, very few people were fortunate enough to grow up in a genuinely respectful, supportive, and loving environment. Why is violence harmful? Everyone knows it is wrong. But beyond preventing the development of basic security in a child, any kind of violence disregards the victim's feelings. When parents regularly beat, reject, or mock their child, they do not care that at those moments the child feels scared, hurt, lonely, and incapable of coping with that level of stress on their own. When parents expect or demand that the child only gets top grades, never cries, like a weakling, behaves properly, does not disturb, or becomes the star of ballet school, their child's own feelings and needs are ignored, forbidden. And the child, once again, has no idea how to handle that. This very not important, the adult's inability or unwillingness to see and acknowledge the real child, is devaluation. The difficulties of such people in relationships are often connected to the fact that they struggle to distinguish between bad and good treatment. It is hard for them to have and defend their own opinions. Hard to imagine that they do not have to endure mistreatment, but instead can seek help from others. The common shame about going to a psychologist comes from here too. Even when daring to rebel and stand up for themselves, such a person often faces enormous amounts of direct and indirect aggression from their environment. That's how systems work. Family, work, friendships, and any collective. These are systems where a devalued person, like everyone else, has their place and role. When they try to change a situation that no longer suits them, this potentially threatens the homeostasis of the system they are in. Why is this important to know? People who are not confident in their right to be seen and heard will face greater resistance than those who, according to their history, always received plenty of support. And this must be accepted. Searching for one's value in psychotherapy is a difficult process. From under the rubble of others' expectations, one must retrieve long-rejected feelings, find comfort, and learn to be in touch with their desires. These sprouts rise slowly and with effort like grass pushing through layers of asphalt. It takes a lot of support and care for what was once denied to finally come alive. And a great deal of patience, strength, and willingness is needed to endure uncertainty, difficult emotions, and to remain in therapy.